Jesus, is this working now? Let's see. It says we got one person on. Well, I'm just gonna go anyway. And what I was trying to do was do a members only live stream. What's going on? Hey! Don't answer. I was going to do a members only live stream, and I got it set up and went on, and I couldn't get into the chat because I'm not a member. It wouldn't let me in. I could just see the video. It was weird. So I got to figure out how to do that. I figured I'm going to be cleaning up here for a little bit, and I just turned the stream back on and do a quick Q&A if anyone had any questions. And hang out for a little bit. Have a drink. It's that time. And I'm here anyway. Warlock, were you on the feed tonight? I didn't see you. Oh, I don't remember. Water. Alright, get this off. I don't need to stare at the screen the whole time. Oh, once you're done, can I see you polish the needles? I don't think I'm going to be polishing the needles tonight, but maybe. Oh, do I have? Actually, what I do, I'll show you what I do. I don't know if I have it up here, though. I have a little Dremel, like a little battery Dremel, that I chuck them into, that I polish them with. First, I'm going to clean my filters, my God, I can't speak now. My strainers. I'm going to clean them. Usually after a live feed, I barely even clean my brushes. I usually wait till the next day because I'm horrible at it. But then I figured I should because I got other stuff to do in the morning. Like the household. So, let's clean up, put things back where they go. Yeah, so I don't use it after every feed, obviously. I only use it if I bend the needle because I paint with my nozzle needle exposed. I paint with the cap off. I always have. Mainly comes with bad habit days when we had a lot of tip dry. We'd have to constantly clean it, and that became basically a tick. When I'm not painting, I'll sit there and I'll just pick the needle. Yeah, that Desconizer is awesome. I do love it. It was worth every penny. Having a laser cutter now, I could probably cut my own. But you know what? For how perfect these are made, like the precision these go together, and they magnet together by section, so they all stay in line. And when I say they go together precision perfect, they are flawless. And for that type of craftsmanship and the way they come, and for what they sell them for, it's worth every penny. Because like a unit like this is only like 15 or 20 bucks, you know, and it just works really great. So caps off, isopropyl alcohol. I'll put my nozzles in here if I need it, or little stuff. But pretty much what I do, see if I can bring a trash can up here or something. So, probably keep it semi off camera. So basically what I do is for the water, this is just straight water. I get all the heavy stuff out. Darren, what's going on? Yeah, I was just telling him when I decided I was going to do a members only feed, and I think this is something I might offer in the future for members, whereas I'm going to do like an after hour, like half an hour cleanup Q&A. You know, see how I feel about it and see how it goes. But yeah, basically what I do quick cleanups when I finish the feed. And I just broke my color cup because I twisted it. Okay. So that happened. So I just snapped the cup off, which it does thread. It does thread back in. It is threaded. But it's threaded and welded. Here we go. I don't take these off enough, and if you don't take them off enough, they tend to fuse together with all the paint and the thread. So I should take them off more routinely. So we're gonna soak that little guy for a second. That was the second one in my career, but it actually didn't break because what I didn't realize is these are threaded in to that. So basically, I spun it too much and overclocked it. So it should be fine. That's only the second one ever. So quick cleanup, flush. Yeah, and you know, my desk, I've always had a little solution here, a little solution here, and I've been watching this particular one for a long time. Like I said, I saw a ton online that are like made by people with laser cutters. Like I said, I have a cutter. I can probably cut my own. But I'll tell you, these aren't laser cut. These are CNC'd, and when I say they're CNC'd well, they are to the hundredth or thousandths of an inch. So I would definitely give them credit. So basically, what I typically do at night, I paint every day, roughly. So I give everything a flush at night. Make sure the paint's out. I clean the needle, get it all out. The controversy to lube or not to lube. Anyone who says lube ruins your airbrush is I'm not going to say idiot. I understand that the blue lube back in the day used to gum up people's airbrushes, and if you put too much of it in dust and dirt, you'll get goop and stuff back here. But this is brass and fittings. So if you just put a drop on the needle like that and rub it on, it's just enough to keep it soft, and if you have any paint residue, it doesn't clean. I don't ever put it in the body of the brush. I simply put it on the needle, because when I put it away at night, I usually put these away wet. And what I mean by wet is once I've cleaned the color cup, not after every cleaning, but just a quick, like these are my quick cleanups. This is like 5 minutes with the brush. I clean the cap. This isn't a tear. I barely ever tear these down fully. Maybe if I left paint in there for a week or it dried out or I had an issue with it, but I very rarely break these things down fully. I'm just trying to get all the paint residue out. What I do, if I'm using urethane, I put lacquer thinner in. If I'm using Createx, I'll either put some reducer or a little bit of isopropyl alcohol. I'll put them in there, spray it through. I know it's clean. I put a little piece of tape over the vent, and what that does, that keeps this from evaporating out, and it'll stay wet till the next time I use it. Nothing will dry. So that lube is simply to make the needle a little moist, so that any paint residue in here that happens to dry in the course of the next few days, it's not going to stick. That's all I use this for. It will not ruin your brush. It will not ruin your paint. It will not ruin your brush. It will not ruin your paint. I'm going to say it for the 5th time. Some guys online can say all they want and make these big tirades about lube. I've been doing this for 35 years. And I've never experienced what they talk about. So unless they're going like they're putting some other type of gel for use, then there's no reason. So members, right now we have 25% off all the stuff at this first tier. And this first tier is a $3 tier. It's pretty much a thank you. It's $3. It's the minimum tier you see most channels do. It's a thank you for doing the feed. We appreciate you doing the feed. Most of those tiers on channels don't come with anything. But I do 25% off my entire store, and then it's 15% off my merchandise store as well. But what I also want it to be is stuff like this. Eventually it's going to be, this will be a first tier thing. I want to do some overtime feeds. I want to do some basic Q&As that are members only. And every once in a while I throw some free products and stuff in there. There's going to be some heavier stuff that's going to come in, but that's going to be like a $10 tier. Or I'll do like a $5 or $6 tier. And then we'll start doing, like I want to start doing like monthly members only videos. That might be just doing tech and stuff like that. I said like, whoa! I'm not a big fan of this, to be honest. Most nights, I put tape over the vent like this, with the paint in there, and I come back the next day or 2 days later and do this clean out. It's not going to dry out that quick. It's not going to be a problem. Yeah, this is just, they have another one that's like in a box that has a blade, and I probably should have grabbed that one. And what it is the dowel is skinny. So what I might do is I might 3D print like a ring or a dowel that goes in that keeps it more solid, because it's just, I don't like it. It's just sitting on this skinny dowel. But it's literally, it's like $10 for this. So, you know, it works. It's just not a great, it's not a great design overall. Alright, so like this needle's super clean. This is what you guys are talking about. This was the Sharpen Air. Yeah, that's kind of what it is. It just needs a bigger dowel. I'll probably 3D print something that goes in there. Make it like a tube. Like I'll do like an insert sleeve that goes in the roll, and then that, if it helps. If not, I'll get a different part. So, if your needle's bent and tipped, basically, if it's bent and tipped, then you would go in here and you'd spin each section a few times, and then you go to the other one, and what it does, it double bevels, because needles are actually, they're not a single edge, they're actually two. It's from here to the tip is one angle, and then from the tip is another angle. So that's why you have 4 stations. I run it through there, and it gets it straight. You can see some spin marks in it a little bit, but like I said, it gets it straight, it gets it through, gets you through a use. But if you want to spend extra time with a little metal polish, and maybe when you order these, they give you a little 2,000, 1,500, and like 2,500 grit little sandpaper. You basically get it pretty good with that, and then a little like wet all metal polish, something like that, and you'll be fine. Like I said, I put a little bit on the needle just to keep it moist in case there's any paint residue. That's it. Flush everything out. Spray it through, put it away wet. You know, this is going to solve 90% of people's problems with airbrush maintenance. You don't need to pull them apart every time and make them build, but you should clean them out a little bit. I I'm going to give you two schools of thought. When I'm in the middle of a project, a lot of times I leave paint in there until the job is done. So the same white or black will be in here for up to a week to 2 weeks. Every time I'm done painting it, I cap it off, put the seal on it. The paint does not dry out. If it's a heavy pigmented paint or it's got metallic, you can get settling to the bottom, and it can jam up your fluid nozzle a little bit, but it's very rare. I wouldn't do it with metallics or pearls, but like whites and colors, I've never had a problem with. Bag flush it, give it a shake, add a little reducer, you're back to town. Like I said, so you can go up to 5K, you can go up to 10K if you really want to. I'm going to tell you 8 and 10K is bullshit. Because if you go back to a polishing cloth, the cloth is actually a higher grit than 10K. So you're going backwards with a polish in most cases. I usually go to a 3K and up from there. And that's more than enough you're going to get on it. But it's like anything. You can go as high as you want. You're hitting a point of diminishing return after a certain point. Because the paint's only going to respond to so much. You'll probably over polish it, and you might actually start making the needle too tapered and too long, and it might come too far out of the airbrush because you've lost the taper. So now the way the needle's supposed to sit, it's sitting further out than it should because you might have flared the fluid nozzle, or you've made it skinnier than the fluid nozzle so it sticks up. So now it actually doesn't. The air doesn't roll over the cone at the right angle. So it's a plus or minus everything. So that's why I don't go too nuts. Like, I go through my jeweler's loop, 16x, look at it. If it looks cool from there and I don't see any burrs or rings, I'm good to go. Yeah, like I said, the paint's gotta try to stick to the metal a little bit. So the goal is, to get it as much as good as you can. Obviously the more is better, but you can over polish, you can overdo it, because if you do change the shape of the needle with polishing, which can happen, you're gonna change the tolerance. So that's in the micron level. On the other ones, it's so finicky that sometimes what you think works doesn't work. It's like washing your black car knowing it's going to rain the next day. How good do you want to look for that 8 hours? Because at a certain point, it's a diminishing. You're at the point of diminishing return. Some people are very maintenance heavy. They love it. They love getting done every little thing. I'm not like that. I run these brushes very hard, and I get great results. But if your painting style is that, I know one of the guys Gerald learned from some recent stuff from, and Gerald's very meticulous. He has to do a full teardown after every session of painting. Every day. I don't. But I know he went to one guy, when the guy mixes, I'm one of the rare guys that actually strains the paint, and I preach it a lot. And some people that's the useless, which I can't believe people say that. So I get it, but I know he went to one guy. The guy mixes his black for the week, he mixes it for the painting. He shakes it for a certain amount of time. He strains the black paint itself through a wide strainer 2 or 3 times. Then mixes it in reducer and strains it again. And then he strains it 6 more times through multiple fine strainers till it's basically ink. Now at some point you are pulling the pigment out. But the way he paints and his style and his attention to freehand, like dot detail, it's worth it for him. I don't think it would be for me, but but yeah, you can. You'll find that even just a little Winnow metal polish or something like that, even on a brand new needle, makes it so slick that you don't have any problems with it. The only caps I take off somewhat routinely to check, because they crack a lot. No, not a lot, but if you pull your needle in and out, a lot and like seat it, the Eclipse nozzles. So this is the Takumi Eclipse, but this type of nozzle here, these fluid nozzles, these are pretty cheap. And you know, if you do the 5s, which are the all brass ones, those flare a lot. These have a similar tip, but these do not unscrew. Don't ever unscrew those. These, because they're a little weaker and they're wider, they tend to leave more paint in. So I do tend to flush these out separately, and I'll usually take my needle, or a good needle, not a perfect needle, and I'll just kind of ream around the edge, and I'll kind of slowly poke at an angle. I wonder if I can get in on this here and focus. Let's see if I can do that. So what I do is I just kind of ream at an angle and just kind of gently, like, don't go all the way through it. And I poke, make sure there's nothing dried or sticky around the edges. And then I'll look through a loop and make sure this isn't cracked or flared. That's one of the only ones I take out because they're super easy. They drop right back in. Yeah, but even in ultra realism, it depends, because a lot of ultra realism guys, they're not doing fine line work. They're doing just soft atomization of paint. So yeah, it just depends. Depends people's style. And then I know guys that work with busted up, broken down, and they paint crazy. Like, I know even, like, so Drew Blair puts he does not tear down his brushes. He does not like lube at all. He hates it. But he puts his brushes away like I do. He usually puts them away wet. He might take the paint out, but a lot of times he doesn't. And does the same thing, because most of the damage comes to your airbrush when you take it apart at this stage. So minimize what you take apart, and you'll damage your needle and nozzle a hell of a lot less. Good. And then these guys, I don't buy the expensive ones of these. I just get the cheap ass ones from Harbor Freight, because no matter what, they bend and break. I do like the little Iwata brushes, these cheaper ones, for getting in here. These are nice. Oh yeah, because those tips can hold so much paint in them that if you don't get it all out. But again, so when I was a t-shirt artist, we used to use the Apache VL3s or the Eclipses. You never took the paint off the cup. You literally, at the end of the night, you pulled the trigger, you pulled the needle out, you flushed water down it on a squirt bottle with the trigger on so it just cleared out the nozzle. You wiped the needle clean and stuffed it back in. You never took it off the bottle, ever. Like, only if the brush stopped working. So that brush, some of those colors would never come off there for like months. At a mall or a beach, when I used to paint at those. You never, at the end of the night, you literally just do a quick flush out and lock the door. Come back the next morning, shake it up and paint. For months. Never a problem. But I get it, sometimes it just feels better to sit down. Like tonight, I just felt like I knew I wasn't going to be up here tomorrow because I got a bunch of stuff around the house to do, property. So I knew I wasn't going to be up here tomorrow cleaning. Yeah, I'm telling you, you want the if you're using water-based, that brush restorer works really good. It fucking eats everything. It like eats everything out of the brush. It really does. Clean. Oh, I didn't put this one away. Wet though. So I was pretty happy with the Rhino. Said it needs about another hour's worth of work. Maybe half hour. But I'll probably do an hour on it. So Gary. Gary's a great buyer, so I always put an extra time on his. Maybe we'll put a pinstripe color around it or something like that. Now I gotta think of what to paint for next week. I think that's all the brushes. I think next week I might start bringing this one back into rotation, the custom micron. And then I got some of these guys to do. These are the tabletop mini guys I'm going to be painting. I got to put my zoom camera, my macro lens for these. That's for sure. Do a bust or an extra large. Yeah. So I won't do I don't think I'm gonna do any of these type at like during our nighttime feed. It's too intricate. I got this one I gotta finish. I do have some busts. I got some bigger stuff to do. I definitely gotta practice some of the tabletop stuff because I'm doing a big show next year. In March we're doing the Adepticon show. I've been invited to teach, and it's a little out of my league, since I really just got into the hobby back about a year ago. I do have some cool busts I could 3D print and paint, actually. But yeah, I do, like I said, I do recommend these just to have in a pinch. They're not going to make it perfect. But if you do want to put extra time in, you can. But you're in the middle of a job, you bend the needle, you don't have one, you straighten it out, you're good to go. Just remember to pull your needle and nozzle out forward if you bend it. Like unscrew these, you can try to pull it straight. Because if you pull it back, if your needle's hooked, you crack your fluid nozzle when you go backwards. That's a big mistake lots of people make. And yeah. Anyone else got any Q&A questions before I wrap this up for the night? Because eventually I think this is going to be just a members thing. Well, we'll see. Put the knives away. I need to paint up the latest bust, but I'm still drilling away. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got this one. I got this one I'm doing, which is going to be really cool. Because what I did is I 3D printed a thicker base so I can put microelectronics and lights under there'll be a grate here, and he'll be, you know, the lifter will be up over it like this, so it's going to be a green uplight through the grate. And then I 3D printed some clear, like alien eggs, I want to put around it to also light up, so everything's lit from the bottom. And I'll put a little skull. The skull will be the switch, so it's all self-contained battery. And that way it'll just have a cool, like, alien type glow. You know. this is a project I'm thinking, if I go really nuts on it, maybe I'll enter this. But I gotta get the base a little smooth. The base one is I 3D printed a base that attaches to the normal base. And I just gotta final sand it. So I got that going. And then I got a whole bunch of other stuff. I think, kitties, I think that's about all she wrote for the night. I think that's clean enough for the studio. Put the tape away. But yeah, this bench does help me. I'm actually surprised because it's the first thing that keeps me organized. Let me know if you need any help. The Arduino, something I want to get into eventually. Right now, I'm just keeping everything push button. The Millennium Falcon build and my entire diorama, the Star Wars. No, yeah. My the whole Death Star trench run. That I want to have each vehicle lit, and I want to do sound and lights and arrangement, so I know that's going to have to be programmed. That's going to be probably next year, so definitely going to need some help on that. But yeah, that's the one that's going to do, I want to have lights and sound. My Millennium Falcon now already has a mini board that's pre-programmed for lights and sound by someone else that they used to make, but they don't make them anymore. So yeah, I'll pick your brain on that for sure. But I think that's it. Brushes are clean. The bench is almost time for a new mat, or I'm going to spin this one around, because these get to a certain point where if I get all the paint off, I take all the grit off. So, but this organizing system really has worked out really well. You can tell it's actually kept me well organized. I was going to get the paint racks for up above, but the steps, but I don't think I'm going to bother. I did laser cut these for myself. These racks for the Citadel paint, and they're all right. They work pretty good. These mount like a wall, so I want to refine, I think, this design a little bit, and I'm not sure I dig it. As far as sit like this, it's bolted, it'll be fine, but I might do with some heavier material too. But yeah, having the laser cutters cool. So working with that. Made some like tokens and stuff while I was cutting circles out. So yeah. Well, that is it, kids. Thanks for hanging out. I am going to end this feed and go to bed. So thanks for checking it out. And make sure you share, like it. I want to hit 11,000 this weekend. I need like 4 people to subscribe. Have a go, guys. Thanks for checking it out.